Hello Crafty Budgeters and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Brittany. On this channel, we are working to craft a budget and a lifestyle to become debt free. Y'all, I got you covered. Anyone that is thinking about starting to budget in 2022, anyone's thinking about revamping how they budget and their budgeting style, or just needing to figure out where to even begin, I got you covered. Don't worry, I'm going to help you out because I want you to start off 2022 the best way possible when it comes to budgeting and being in control of your money. And I've been doing this since 2016, so almost going on 6 years. And so I've had a lot of knowledge of things that work, don't work, tips and tricks, and I'm going to share that with you today. I'm going to give you a step-by-step system that is easy that you can do right now to get started. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, I am working to get my family out of our $175,000 worth of debt that we started with in 2020. The first year, 2020, we paid off $47,000 worth of debt, and our second year, as of yesterday, I did my December debt update closing out 2021. We were able to pay over $40,000 to debt, and we are ending the year with $100,000 worth of debt. That's $75,000 that we put to debt. We had to add in a couple of debts in there, had to pay back the IRS. Darn you. And then I also had to get a laptop that I put on a credit card, so that added in. But all of that is to say is that budgeting and just being really intentional with our money and creating side incomes, additional incomes, has really helped us to do some damage on our debt. And all of these things that I'm going to talk about can really help you if you want to pay off debt or thinking about savings. So if you are not a part of the Crafty Budgeter fam and you want to just join this amazing community, this amazing family where I talk about paying off debt, talk about reaching your personal finance goals, reaching your own goals, definitely make sure that you subscribe to the Crafty Budgeter fam. We have fun over here. If you enjoy these types of videos or think you might enjoy these types of videos as you get started in 2022, make sure that you like and comment along with subscribing so that way you can be a part of this amazing conversation that I have with all of my amazing supporters and subscribers on this channel. So we are going to get right into it, but before I start and jump in of the step-by-step process of how to get started with a budget, I want to give you two helpful tips. These tips are tips that I've learned over the years, and I really just want you to start this year off budgeting and having success in it, and I think these two tips will really help. So the first tip is to find a system that works for you. So you might say, like, Brittany, I don't really know what system works for me. Definitely take advantage of YouTube. There's so many channels on YouTube that talks about budgeting, and many of us have different ways that we budget. Definitely just go on the internet and put in budgeting styles and strategies and techniques. All of that will go into there. We'll go into detail of how to budget. I would say like the three main ways that people budget is like a paper planner type of budget, pen and paper, an Excel spreadsheet, or like a Word document spreadsheet, or something in like a computer system. And then the third way is through an app. So there's different apps that you can get on your phone or on your computer that will help you with your budget. I have done all of those ways. And something that I've learned is that I kind of had to try everything out to figure out what really works best for me and what helps me to reach my goal. And what I have found is that I am a hybrid model type of a budgeter. So I budget everything first on an Excel spreadsheet. I do have a video right here, I will link it down below, about how to set up how I set up my Google spreadsheet to help me with my budget every single week. I am not good at math. I literally let the Google spreadsheet do all of the numbers for me. I have it all formulated out, and I might do a whole video of like how to set that up. And then I transfer everything to a paper type system because I found that writing things down and seeing it in person really helps me to reach my goals. And it's just that hybrid model has worked well for me. And some people use that. Some people go straight into doing the planner or just straight using the Excel. Whatever works for you. But try a couple things out. If you're just starting out, maybe one month to do an Excel spreadsheet, another month do an app, another month do paper, or do a couple in 1 month. That might be overwhelming. But if you realize that you are more of a visual, like tactile, need to have it in your hands, paper would be kind of good for you. But if you are more a computer savvy, like to see like data and like all of that type of stuff, spreadsheets, definitely look at doing it on an Excel spreadsheet. But finding out what system works best for you and being okay with having kind of a hybrid model like I do is really going to help you when you start your budgeting journey, or to help you identify, if you have already started, what's going to work best for you. And then the second thing is to give yourself grace. Budgeting can be sometimes hard to get started. It can be a little bit complex. You're going to hear me talk about different terms and things. You're probably going to be like, what is she talking about? That is okay. When you are starting, give yourself grace. There are going to be months where you have it all together, and this reigns true for me as well, where all of my numbers work out, I'm staying in budget. There are other months that like things happen and I go over budget, or my numbers just don't work out the way they need to. That's like few and far between. But what I've learned is to give yourself grace, learn from every month, reflect on each month, and then make changes as you go. So I am a paycheck by paycheck budgeter, which means that every paycheck I sit down and create a budget for that paycheck. So not only do I do a monthly budget, I do a paycheck budget, which I'll show you in this book. And that helps me to reflect, okay, last week I went over for my groceries, so maybe I need to cut back on this upcoming week to still make sure I stay within my monthly goal. And that's another thing you got to figure out. Do you want to just do a monthly budget, or do you want to do a monthly budget and paycheck budgets, or do you want to just do paycheck budgets? Figuring out what works best for you is going to be key. I'm saying that over and over again. This is individual. This is a personalized financial budget where I can't tell you how to do your budget. I can give you steps of ways to get started and what I do and how I found success, but you are going to have to figure out, based on your own style, your own goals, what's going to work best for you. And that's kind of the fun about this, is that we all have our own way of doing it, but we all have figured it out, or we are figuring it out as we go, and use all the resources out there to do that research as you go along. So find out the system and style that works out for you, and give yourself grace along the way. Those two things are going to be paramount as you get started on your journey. So I cannot talk about budgeting without also going over this amazing workbook. And the reason why I say it's amazing, because I created it. I, along with my amazing best friend, fellow budgeter, created the Workbook Duo for planners, for budgeters, for planners, for people that really want to elevate their finances, productivity mindset, their goals. We've had you in mind when we created this book because we wanted a one-stop shop for you to get everything you need in one place. And so what we did is we created a Workbook Duo that helps you throughout the year reach those goals that you have for yourself. So we give you an opportunity to figure out how to budget. We talk you through our kind of method and our style, how to use the planner. There's a goal section, so you definitely check out my 2022 personal finance goals. I talked about those. Then every month you're going to get an opportunity to have your calendar for you to write out kind of the things that you want on your calendar. I'll talk about this in a second. You get a monthly budget worksheet on here. So if you are just a monthly budgeter, you can have this worksheet to help you budget. Again, we'll walk through the steps of how to do it. You get a quote every single month, and then you get your paycheck budget. So every paycheck, like I said, I'm a paycheck budgeter. We have set it up where you have 5 paychecks in each month, because some months have 5 weeks. So depending on if you get paid every week, if you get paid bi-weekly, if you get paid randomly, we got you covered in this book, depending on what paycheck style you have. And then if you are a cash envelope Tight budgeter, which that's a whole other video that I will go talk about. We have a paycheck denomination set up for you. And then every week you get a weekly spread. So to help you with your organization, productivity, along with helping you track kind of your spendings, we give you a weekly spread where you can jot down the things that are going on throughout the day. Do you have any reminders, meetings, goals you want to complete? Then it gives you a section where you can document what you spent throughout that day, and then a weekly check-in of some of your goals that you have in regards to your finances, and a brain dump. And then you get 5 of these. So it goes, you get your next paycheck, you get 5 weekly spreads, and then at the end of the month, depending on what you're working on, we have a sinking fund update. I'll do a whole video on sinking funds. So again, you got to stick with your girl. I'm going to get you covered. And then I have a debt update. Debt is something that many people are working on, big or small. Those of you who are debt-free, 2 snaps to you. But we have a debt update page right there for you so you can track your progress as you work towards doing that. So that is what you get every month. You get a notes page at the back. You get this every month. We've pretty much thought of everything to get you started, which is really, really awesome. And so many people have already purchased their Workbook Duo. This is the Elevated Life Co. Workbook Duo. So if you need a planner to help you with your budget, you don't have one yet, definitely go to our website. I'll link it down below. I'll put it on the screen. Definitely get your book. We got you covered. And the colors change every quarter. So, well, every 3 months. So you get a green, so it's not the same colors every time. And then you get a gold, and then it goes back to the purple. All right. So now that we've discussed that, you know, when you have a business, you got to do your quick marketing for it. Now I want to talk through how I set up my budget every month and what really works for me. So in this workbook planner, or any planner that I use when I do my budget, I always like to have a 2-page calendar spread. You can do it on just a 1-page calendar spread, but I find the 2-page calendar spreads gives me enough room to write, because I like to write down all of my bills on these 2 pages so I can visually see where the payments will be coming out. I don't write this in there, but some people write every paycheck that they get. So we get paid every Friday, depending on how my husband and I's income is set up for our salaries. So you can put your paychecks on there. You can see when things are coming out. When I first started budgeting, when I didn't write things out on a calendar, there were bills that were coming out that I had no idea. Like, I thought bills were due on one day and it was due on another week, and I was getting like late notices, or I would forget about a bill. And to make sure I'm the most organized and most efficient with my budget, what I have determined and what I found by doing research is having this calendar method of really just documenting all of your bills that will be coming out for that month and writing that on your calendar. I have some goals that I want to do and some of my categories, but that's how I kind of start out the month. What does this month look like? Are there anything that's coming up? Are there any events or activities that are coming up? So there's New Year's Day. I have a couple of birthdays that are going up. Shout out to my son. His birthday is on the 23rd. But we give you that space to write it in here. So now that I have my monthly set up for the calendar ready to go, it's now time to set up the monthly budget. And so while I give you the tips, I'm actually going to set up my monthly budget with you. I'm really big on showing and giving examples, because I can tell you all of these things, but until you can actually see it in person, that's when I feel like it really comes to life and you can see how it's applied. I have my degree in education, so that's pretty much my teacher mode, like show me and tell me type thing. There's like a whole phrase for it. I can't think of it right now, like show, tell, and do. Show me, tell me, show me, and no, that's not it either. I'm leaving that part in there because it's kind of funny. So the first thing that you want to do when you are setting up your monthly budget is that you want to figure out what is your income. what is your income going to be? So if you have multiple sources of income, we give you multiple lines. If you have a spouse and a partner and your incomes are together, you can put your name, your partner's name. And then what we do is, because this is a budget that we're doing for the month, we want to give you an opportunity to have a budgeted section, an actual section, and then at the end of the month you can come back to see how you actually did with all of the things that you wrote in for these categories. Let me see if I'll bring you in a little bit closer. There you go. So for some people, they already know what the actual is. You get paid the same thing every week. You can already just put it in the actual. If it fluctuates, that's why we give the budgeted. Most of the time, my salary stays the same every week, but my husband gets, it's pretty much the same standard, but some weeks some paychecks out of the month, he gets a little bit extra. So depending on how your paychecks are set up, that's kind of how you fill out the income. So the first thing you want to do when you are setting up a budget and starting to budget is to calculate your monthly income. Now on my channel, I have determined, just for privacy reasons, I don't share our full salaries, I don't share our tithes, I don't share our mortgage. That's just something that my husband and I decided, just for confidentiality reasons and just to keep things private. Y'all, I share a lot on this channel, but some things I don't think is necessary that I need to share with you. So I actually don't share my full incomes on here. I just share what my starting balance is after I've already accounted for tithes, mortgage, and the salary, all of those things. But for you, figure out what your income is and put it in here. All right, so my starting balance is $6,157.15. So then I'm going to just bring it down here. All right, so I have this ready to go. Then at the end of the month, I can go back, look at literally what I got, and then I can see where was I over, under, was it the same, and then that's how I can track it right here. What I found is doing a monthly closeout really helps me to reflect on things so I can get prepared for the next month. So if for the next month you really, oh, actually I didn't get as much, do I need to change my budgeted amount, or I got a little bit more, will that be standard? Do I need to change things? Do I need to add things? That's kind of how I set things up in regards to that. So after you calculate your monthly income, the second thing that you want to do is you want to identify and calculate expenses. And that's what this section is of the way that we have our planner set up. Now, what are fixed and variable expenses? So this is the easiest way, and let me bring you out as I talk about it so you're not so close. So this is the easiest way that I can break down fixed and variable expenses. Fixed expenses are those expenses that are your monthly bills that no matter what, you know those bills are going to be coming out, you know those expenses are going to be hitting your account, or you're gonna have to pay it. And if you don't, this is how you know it's a fixed expense. If it doesn't get paid, someone's going to be calling your house, asking for money. Something's going to be turned off, shut off. You're going to be getting a late notice. Those are how I determine what is a fixed expense for me personally. So what are fixed expenses? And I'll write them in as I do the budget. But for example, my car insurance, my cable, which y'all, I'm cutting cable as you saw. I don't know if you saw, but it's a goal. But for right now, I have it. Cable, internet, what else is on there? Electric, our phone bill, all of those bills, or even things like subscriptions. Hulu comes out every month. We have a gym membership. Any memberships that come out on a monthly basis, you know, every month on this day, this is going to come out. Your mortgage, you could put your tithes here, or if there's things that you have set aside that you want to go to every month. That's what we consider fixed expenses. Variable expenses are those expenses that you have a little wiggle room. Like, if no one's going to be calling you if you don't pay this. So in my case, the way I do fix variable expenses are those expenses like groceries, gas, entertainment, personal, miscellaneous. I have a buffer account that goes in the buffer account. I'm trying to think of some other ones, but those are the main ones that I can think of right now that would be variable expenses, where you have a little wiggle room that if 1 week or 1 month you have to move money around for other reasons, it's going to come out of that variable expenses, because it can't touch the fixed expenses because those are coming out no matter what. Remember, like no matter what is happening. So how do you determine your fixed and variable expenses and what averages those are? Because some seasons things change, some expenses come out on quarterly basis. What I would recommend and what I did when I started budgeting is that I sat down and got my bank statements for 1 month, 2 months, and 3 months, and I tracked my expenses for 3 months, up to 3 months. Right now, if you don't have it for 3 months, just do for the past. Last month, December might be a little bit different because of the holiday, but pick a month where it's like a standard month for you. And with that, figure out, okay, on average, how much are each of my bills? Write all of that down. On average, how much do I eat out? How much goes to gas? How much goes to groceries? How much goes to personal entertainment? Now, when you are calculating that up, it's sometimes like a come to Jesus moment. When I tell you, when I did my tracking expenses for like 6 months, there were months where we were spending over $1,000 on groceries and eating out. Now, it's only my husband and I have a toddler. When I did that, he was only like 1 at that time. There's no reason why we were spending that much money on groceries and eating out. And that made me realize, like, dag, I need to budget out a little bit differently, because I can use some of that money to go towards my goals, which we'll talk all about goals in a second. But this is a really great time for you to be totally honest with yourself. Are you shopping a little bit too much? Are you spending money in areas where you might need to cut back? Or do you have some fixed expenses? Like for me, cable, our cable and internet and our home security is about $300. There's no way I can spend $300 a month on those things when I know I can get the same channels using a streaming service. Or do you have multiple subscriptions that you really don't use, that you can use that money for something else? Or do you, I can't think of another one right now, but you get the idea, right? So figuring out what are those fixed and variable expenses you have by looking at your credit card statements, bank statements, writing those all down, reflecting on that, and really setting a goal of how you want your monthly budget to look to help you reach your goals, which we'll talk about next. So I'm going to go in and write in all of my fixed and variable expenses. We'll talk about them quickly, and then we'll go on to step 3. Okay, so I've gone in and entered all of my fixed expenses and all of my variable expenses. So to give you some other examples of what my fixed expenses are, daycare. I forgot to say that one. That's the main one. The bulk of our fixed expenses goes to daycare. We have our Apple, gym, Hulu, car insurance, car wash, our loans, utilities. So this is our cable, electric, our oil, heat, there might be something else in there I can't think. Life insurance, we set aside a small amount for a vacation that we're doing, which is fixed, and then subscriptions, all of our other subscriptions come to about $37. And then our variable expenses are groceries, $400, eating out, $115, gas, $400, personal, $125. Y'all, what happened with that personal? Who knows? Miscellaneous, $50, and I always have a $100 buffer that I like to keep in my checking account. Now, you will see that there's some numbers down here. The next step of creating a budget, so you've already calculated your monthly income, you've already determined what your variable and fixed expenses are after tracking your expenses, figuring out what you need. Then you need to subtract your expenses from your income. So what we have set up for you, and you could do this all at once, we just broke it down. You're going to take your total income and subtract all of your fixed expenses to get your remaining, which is for me $2,990. Then you have $2,990 remaining to left over in your budget. You got to move over to the variable expenses. All of this equals $1,190. And then I have $1,800 remaining of money to go towards this next section. And that is number 4 of creating a budget. So now it's time to create a plan for what you want to do with the rest of your money. So whatever amount comes in that remaining section after you've calculated your fixed and variable expenses, that's what you have left over. And this is what we've determined the plan. So the plan that you have for either debt or savings, or I added in investing, but those are the 3 things that I can really think of that your remaining money would go towards, and what typically within our budgeting community people put their money towards. For me, a goal that I have is that I want to put $30,000 to debt this year. I want to put $5,000 in an emergency fund and $5,000 in a 1 month ahead fund. So total, the plan is $40,000 to go towards debt and different savings accounts. So what does that mean for this month? So I have $1,800 to go towards my debt and savings goals. Whew. Here we go. So let's see. The way that I've determined what my debt is looking at my debt snowball. I'll do a whole video on a debt snowball, but like pretty much what are the minimum, what more do you want to put towards your debt after the minimum payment that you make to get down your debt, or depending on your savings goals, if you have a goal that you want to get to a certain amount of certain amount of money by a certain amount of time for a specific saving goal, that's kind of how you do it per month, is putting that money aside. So for this month, debt snowball. And for some people, they might just like write down the debts. I just put it all under debt snowball. But yeah, you might want to write down your specific debt that you want to do. So for my debt snowball, I want to put, let's see. Typically, I would put all of this, but I want to do things a little bit different to help us really get towards that emergency fund goal that is like top priority for me. So let's see. If I put $1,550 towards the debt snowball, that means I should be able to put $250 towards my sinking fund and emergency fund goals. So let me put here, so emergency fund, let's say I want to put 150, yeah, so I want to put $150 to emergency fund, and for sinking funds, I want to put $100. Now, what I want to say about this as well is that if you get additional income, so if you have a side hustle or a side additional source of income that comes throughout the month that you don't account for in the beginning because you don't know what that is and you just want to wait. So for me, I have an Etsy shop and I get paid through YouTube and the Elevated Life Co. Not that much, but any additional income past what we get for our salaries, I'll calculate that in as another line item at the end of the month and add that over here to the actual. That will help me with these goals. Most of it goes towards debt, but some of it also goes to emergency fund and sinking funds. And I will just put what that actual is when that time comes. But for right now, based on what I have in this budget right now, from what I'm starting with, this is how I want to set it up. So that should all come to $1,800. Yep. So I subtract the $1,800 by $1,800, and that gives me a zero-based budget. So we are a zero-based budget family, which means every dollar, every cent has a name and a place to go. It just gives you the ability to be a little bit more intentional with your money. And what is important to know is that this is a plan. having a budget is just a plan for what you want for your money. Sometimes things, like I said at the beginning, works out where everything adds up the way it needs to. Other times, it doesn't. So some months there might be a negative here because you went over on some area, or there might be you have extra because you got additional income that you didn't account for because you didn't know was coming, and then you can use that additional income to go towards your goals. That is the budget. That's how you set up the budget. There's only one other thing left that you have to do, and that is tracking your progress. And that's why we give you these actual sections, so that way at the end of the month, you can come back and track to see how you've done, what additional income you got, if you've gotten any, and then gives you the ability to make changes for the next month. The way that I do my budget, like I said in the beginning, I'm a paycheck budgeter. So not only do I set up my monthly budget at the beginning of every month, but I use that same system to then do my paycheck budget. So every weekend, join me on this channel, I do a weekly check-in, a weekly budget setup where I do my same starting balance. I do just the bills that are coming out for that week, and that's why this is really important. This calendar is really important. So for example, come the first paycheck in January, I'm going to, on my fixed expenses, I'm going to put my gym, my Apple, and my Great Lakes isn't there. Great Lakes is on the student loan pause, so that's why I have it in starred, but I like to still put it on here just so that way I don't forget when it picks back up. But come next week, I will put gym and Apple. The week after that, I will then have all of these bills under fixed expenses, and then the same variable expenses stay throughout every week. And that's how I track it. And then I do a weekly check-in. So how did I do? When I set up the budget for the next week, I then check in to see how I did the week before. And again, it just gives me a better idea of where our money's going, how we are doing with our money, to allow me to make changes for the next week or the next month. This budgeting is not stagnant. It's not a linear line. It sometimes it's linear, but sometimes you have ebbs and flows, and being intentional about understanding where your money goes really helps you with that. So what are the 5 things to set up a budget on a monthly basis, or even on a paycheck by paycheck basis? Calculate your income, identify and calculate your expenses, so those fixed and variable expenses, subtract your expenses from your income, create a plan for the remaining money after you have already done your subtractions, then track your progress. And you do that on a week by week or a monthly basis, whatever works for you. Doing it on a week by week basis might be a little bit overwhelming, and that's totally okay. I understand that. Doing it on a monthly basis to get started is a good idea. Anything to get started is what I would recommend. There are many, many, many budgeters within this community that have their own way of doing budgeting. So as you get started, like I said, take advantage of all of the resources that are out there. I will be doing this on a weekly basis, so definitely join me. But yeah, I wanted to start off the year helping anyone that wants to get started or think about a new way of budgeting, give you how I do it and what has helped me throughout the past couple of years after trial and error. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure that you like and comment. If you have some other ideas around budgeting that you want me to talk about like how to get started on it, let me know. I'm doing, like I said, a whole budgeting 101 series. This is the first video in this series. But y'all, I hope you enjoyed this video. I wish nothing but the best for you in 2022. I expect many blessings, so many open doors to come your way, and we are just going to rock all of our debt and savings goals that we have. We about to do some damage. Let's just give ourselves a 2 snaps for getting started with this year of 2022 with a fresh start. Have a great rest of your day. Happy New Year to all of you, or whenever you're watching this, happy day to you. See ya. Bye-bye.